This May, Cancer, life doesn't knock, it bursts in. It's a month that starts like a full volume party, lit with movement, connection, and electric surprises. But by the end, you'll be craving peace, pajamas, and a pillow that remembers your dreams. And that's not chaos, that's orchestration. Because if you play this month right, it becomes one of your most emotionally intelligent, spiritually restorative, and socially abundant chapters of the year. Let's break it down. For the first 3 weeks of May, the sun dances through your 11th house, lighting up your friendships, networks, online spaces, collaborations, and collective hopes. The world feels loud, but in a good way. Think: texts lighting up, plans coming together, social events calling your name. You feel relevant, seen, in rhythm with the people around you. There's a buzz in the air, and it's not just seasonal, it's energetic alignment. Venus is in your 10th house, offering support and sweetness in your professional and public life. If you've wanted to pitch something, make a career pivot, or step into a bigger spotlight, now's the moment. But around May 12th, the full moon arrives in your 5th house, and that's when things get personal. This moon glows over your heart, creativity, children, and love life, bringing surprises, clarity, and maybe even a long-awaited emotional release. There's joy here and play, but also insight. Don't be surprised if a spontaneous decision lands you somewhere very right. Then the shift begins. Around May 20th, the Sun and Mercury both slip into your 12th house, ushering in a quieter phase. This is the annual pre-birthday season for Cancers, a time of reflection, of clearing, of resting before you rise again. And that, Cancer, is the real brilliance of May. You get the high, you get the hush, you get the chance to move through extremes with grace. So you party without guilt, you rest without shame, you feel it all, and trust that nothing needs to be forced into balance. It finds its own rhythm when you let it. This isn't a month of decisions, it's a month of experiences. Some loud, some still, all important. Cancer love in May isn't quiet, and it isn't one-dimensional either. It's not about comfort zones or predictable rhythms. It's alive, awake, watching, and maybe finally ready to listen, because you're finally ready to speak. Let's start with what's already shifting. Your friendships have been buzzing lately. Some of it has felt fun, some of it a little overstimulating. But what's becoming clear now is that your relationships are in transition, not because they're falling apart, but because you're rising out of emotional autopilot. This May, that internal shift becomes external. You stop holding back. You say what you need even if your voice shakes, and something wild happens. You feel heard. For those in partnerships, this is a month of tender honesty. Around May 12th to 13th, under the full moon's glow, you may find yourself craving affection, but not the usual kind. You don't want performance. You want presence. You don't want answers. You want attention. And for once, you're willing to name that out loud. And what comes back to you? It's powerful. Because vulnerability doesn't always invite rejection. Sometimes it invites real intimacy. If things have been tense or unclear in your romantic life, this full moon may bring either a breakthrough or a boundary. You'll feel it. And either way, you'll breathe better afterward. There's no wrong direction here, just truth. And that is always a win. Single Cancers. This is a magnetic moment, especially in group spaces or online, where your presence radiates through more than words. Your intuition's dialed up. You pick up on chemistry without effort. And if someone enters your orbit now, they're not here to waste time. There's also something brewing in platonic love. Friendships that feel romantic in how deeply they see you. Unexpected DMS that spark laughter, connection, or reconnection. Someone from your past may pop up around May 15th to 16th, and while the outcome isn't promised, the reflection it brings? Solid gold. But the real lesson this month isn't about who's reaching out. It's about how you respond. You're no longer shrinking to make space for everyone else's comfort. You're no longer buffering your feelings to protect their peace. Instead, you say it. You name it. You let yourself be known. Not because you want to be fixed or chosen, but because you've earned the right to show up whole. Cancer. Your love life this May doesn't ask for clarity. It asks for courage. The courage to be real in a world that rewards performance. The courage to feel more when everyone else is trying to care less. And when you lead with that, the connections that follow are the kind you don't have to chase or recover from. Cancer, let's get something straight. You're not being quiet because you're shy. You've been quiet because you were listening, watching, assessing, making sure the space was safe enough to show your full self. But this May, you walk in anyway. Not with ego, with certainty. Your 10th house of career, visibility, and public life is lit. Venus is here, softening your voice, highlighting your work, and pulling eyes toward your efforts, especially those you've been quietly building in the background. If you felt overlooked, this is the month people start noticing. Early May brings traction, especially around May 7th to 10th. You may hear feedback, land an opportunity, or get offered a chance to level up, not just in title, but in truth. Something is shifting in the way the world sees you, and more importantly, in how you see yourself. For Cancers in corporate or structured roles, this could mean a promotion, a raise, or a surprise opportunity to lead. But don't wait for permission. The cosmos aren't handing you a crown. They're inviting you to reach for it. Ask for the thing. Send the follow-up. Own your contribution. You've earned every bit of what's coming. For creatives and entrepreneurs, Venus in your 10th house is branding magic. Your voice, message, and aesthetic are more resonant than usual. Launching a service, pitching your work, creating content, this is your moment. Even small moves now carry long shadows. Take them. You might also feel pulled toward mentorship, either being one or receiving it. Watch who shows up around May 11th to 14th. Conversations around purpose, business, or legacy land deeper. Someone might reflect something back to you that reminds you of your own brilliance. And here's the deeper shift. You stop hiding in humility. You start realizing that your gentleness doesn't dilute your impact. It defines it. The very qualities you once feared were too soft for leadership, empathy, nuance, thoughtfulness, are what set you apart. There's a moment toward May 20th to 22nd when you may be offered something almost right. Take a breath. Is it actually aligned or just familiar? You're allowed to say no. You're allowed to wait. You're allowed to choose legacy over urgency now. Because Cancer, your career isn't a performance this month. It's a statement. You're no longer just supporting the vision. You're becoming the one people look to. So go ahead. Send the proposal. Wear the bolder color. Speak first in the meeting. Post the thing you've been holding back. Not because you need to prove something, but because you've finally accepted. You were always the main character. Cancer, here's the secret you've always known. Emotions aren't the problem. Over-access is. And this May, you finally realize that the reason you're exhausted isn't because you feel too much. It's because you've let too many people feel you without earning it. The month begins in motion, conversations, collabs, social everything. You're present, needed, visible. But around mid-month, specifically after May 12th's full moon, something inside starts whispering, pull back. Not from love, from leakage. You begin noticing where you're spending energy with no return. Where being there for others has morphed into being a recovery room for people who don't take accountability. Where I'm just being nice turns into days of emotional hangover. And Cancer, the realization hits. That's not care. That's codependence with a spiritual wardrobe. So you start tweaking the dial. You check your notifications a little slower. You leave messages on red until your energy is clear. You let calls go to voicemail. And guess what happens? You breathe. You rest. You realize how much mental space was being spent managing everyone else's feelings. This is also the start of your 12th house season, a time of year that invites deep solitude, spiritual reconnection, and clearing. You might crave time alone, or find yourself more introverted than usual. Honor it. This isn't antisocial behavior. It's soul recalibration. Around May 20th to 23rd, you may feel an emotional tipping point, a nudge toward closure, not in a dramatic door slam, in a quiet internal decision. I'm not available for this version of me anymore. That version who didn't ask for space, who blurred lines to keep the peace, who thought love meant constant accessibility. You're done. And in that boundary, peace floods in. You might also experience more vivid dreams this month, more intuitive hits, more moments where the veil thins and your higher self drops in with a message that stops you mid-sentence. Don't dismiss those. Write them down. They're not fantasies. They're previews. This is also an ideal time for therapy, journaling, or any kind of emotional processing that happens away from the noise. You're shedding, deleting, reconfiguring your energetic firewall. And here's the magic. The people who are meant to love you through this won't disappear. They'll understand. They'll hold space. They'll meet your boundary with respect, not resistance. Cancer, this month doesn't teach you to harden. It teaches you to hold your energy, your yes, your number, not as a defense, but as a declaration. My peace matters too. Cancer, this month is not about manifesting $1 million. It's about finally letting what you've already earned nourish you, emotionally, energetically, materially. You've been building something solid for a while now, even if it didn't always look like success. And in May, the foundation starts to pay you back. Financially, your focus sharpens. You get real about where your energy is flowing and where it's just leaking. You notice the subscriptions you forgot you had, the work that eats hours but pays pennies, the emotional toll of free favors that aren't really free. But instead of spiraling, you edit, you adjust, you reprioritize. By May 14th to 16th, clarity lands. It may be a raise, an invoice paid, a freelance opportunity, or a simple shift in how you value your own time. You stop bending over backwards for exposure. You stop over-delivering for applause. You start asking yourself, what do I actually want to feel when I earn? The answer? Supported, safe, free. For many Cancers, this month brings a resource shift, maybe not a massive windfall, but a sense that something is finally flowing again. A delayed payment clears, a new client aligns, a side hustle grows legs, or perhaps more subtly, your relationship to money changes. It stops being about anxiety and starts becoming about agency. And this is key. Receiving is not passive. It's active. It's saying yes when the gift is offered. It's not apologizing when someone pays you well. It's learning how to hold abundance without fear it'll disappear. Venus at the top of your chart is boosting your visibility. But that glow, it also brings material support, especially when you're operating from alignment, not urgency. Don't be surprised if someone offers to collaborate or partner with you professionally. The yes doesn't have to be immediate, but the offer is real. This month also nudges you to invest in yourself. Smartly, intentionally, without guilt. A new device that saves you time. A program that sharpens your craft. A massage, a trip, a piece of art that reminds you, I'm worth this. Because here's the deeper work. You stop believing that your worth is tied to what you can endure. You stop delaying pleasure until later. You stop rejecting ease as unearned. And instead, you begin to live like someone who's allowed to feel resourced. Cancer, your emotional generosity has never been in question. But this month, you learn how to let the universe be generous with you, not just in gifts, in consistency, stability, support. Cancer, if the outer world this month feels full of noise and motion, your soul is quietly asking, "Where's my sanctuary?" Not metaphorically, literally. The corner, the space, the four walls, or two arms where you can exhale completely and not explain a thing. And the question becomes, do you have that? Or have you just been performing home? With the sun's shift into your 12th house around May 20th, you're in your annual phase of retreat. You're not running away. You're recentering. You're reevaluating the emotional architecture of your home, your inner circle, and your rituals. And what's coming up is undeniable. You've outgrown some part of the emotional ecosystem you built for protection. It could be your physical space, maybe a cluttered closet, an overfilled calendar, or a bedroom that feels more like a war room than a resting place. Or it could be your emotional patterns, the way you say, "it's fine" when it's not, the way you hold space for others, but never ask them to do the same. But May doesn't demand a move. It suggests a reclaiming. Around May 23rd to 24th, there's a moment where your space or your solitude shows you the truth. You sit in your room, and it echoes. You clean a drawer, and it frees up your lungs. You light a candle, and it feels like coming home to yourself. That's not coincidence. That's the soul memory of safety returning. For many Cancers, this is also a time when ancestral or family dynamics surface. Maybe it's a conversation with a parent. Maybe it's realizing how much of your daily rhythm was inherited, not chosen. And in that realization, you create space to choose differently, to honor the past, without repeating its patterns. This is a beautiful window for nesting, not because you're hiding, because you're rooting. You might start a new bedtime routine, rearrange your furniture, delete 200 photos from your phone, or finally say, "This is my boundary," and mean it with your whole body. Because this month, home is no longer a performance. It's a permission structure, a place where your nervous system can soften, your thoughts can slow down, and your dreams can sneak back in. And the more you give yourself that, the less tolerance you have for spaces or people that feel like survival. Cancer, your superpower has always been your emotional intelligence. But you're not here to just hold others. You're here to be held. And that starts with where you sleep, how you eat, how you speak to yourself, and what you allow into your sacred field. Your sanctuary doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be honest. And this May, you finally make it yours. Cancer, you've carried a lot lately, emotionally, relationally, spiritually. You've managed the unseen labor, made the phone calls, double-checked the feelings in the room, and this May, you're reminded of something radical. You get to have fun, too. And not as a reward, not after the healing, not when the work is done, but now, while it's messy, while it's uncertain, while your life is still unfolding. Around May 20th, Gemini season officially kicks off, bringing a breeze of levity to your chart and encouraging you to let go of the weight you've been gripping with both hands. You begin to notice what feels light, what feels playful, what feels like a version of you who didn't forget how to smile. That might look like saying yes to a spontaneous outing, buying a dress just because it makes you feel like a muse, singing in the car, dancing while you clean, letting yourself flirt again. Not because it's going anywhere, but because it feels good to feel magnetic. Beauty becomes a ritual again, not for others, for you. The way you get ready, the colors you wear, The perfume you pick for no reason other than it makes you feel like someone who deserves to be adored. Travel energy is also strong now, especially spontaneous, short-distance movement. Day trips, exploring a new part of your city, visiting a friend just because you want to see their face without a screen between you. Around May 25th to 27th, a plan may fall into place that refreshes you more than any self-help book ever could. This is also a season for remembering your creativity. Even if you don't do art, even if you haven't touched a project in months, the spark is there. It just needs an invitation, not a deadline. Let yourself follow curiosity like a breadcrumb trail. Write something, sketch something, sing something. Reconnect to the part of you that makes for no reason other than joy. Because when you prioritize that lightness, the rest of your life recalibrates. Conversations go smoother. Ideas flow. Your body softens. You remember what it means to be guided by pleasure, not just duty. And perhaps most importantly, you stop waiting for life to settle before you start living it. Cancer joy isn't the opposite of growth. It's the proof that your growth is working. This May, let yourself laugh more, move often, dress beautifully, flirt without follow-up, and treat every moment of delight like medicine your future self will thank you for. Because you're not just here to hold space for others. You're here to radiate,